transfer of ownership, some basic rules. Very simple rules which are there. I want you to remember. Simply speaking, risk passes with, can you tell me? Risk passes with ownership. So you know this point very well. If you get ownership rights, automatically risk also passes with the ownership rights. If a person becomes insolvent, the official receiver or assignee, as the case may be, has a right to take goods from the insolvent person. There, what point you have to remember? If he is the owner, then the goods can be taken. If the person who has become insolvent now, if goods have to be taken from him, we have to raise a simple question, whether that insolvent is the owner or not. If he is the owner, you can take the goods. So this is the background. This is the basic area which you have to remember compulsorily. Then the various rules relating to transfer, etc. At the time of making the contract, remember sections 20, 21, 22, etc. deal with the transfer of ownership. Particularly, when we say that there is a transfer of ownership, we say that it is transferred at the time of making the contract. What are the conditions? Remember, the goods must be specific. Please understand this point. The ownership is transferred at the time of making the contract. The condition is that the goods must be specific. The goods must be in deliverable state. Remember, the goods must be in deliverable state, and that it is an unconditional contract. So all the three areas you have to remember very, very carefully. If the goods are in deliverable state, it would be possible for the buyer to take delivery of the goods. So, at the time of making the contract, the ownership is transferred, provided three important conditions are fulfilled, met. What are the three important conditions? The goods must be specific. Specific goods are future goods or contingent goods. Can you tell me specific goods are contingent goods or future goods? Yes. They are contingent goods or future goods? Yes, somebody has given the right answer. Somebody nodded in disapproval rather. The nod was different. Yes, someone gave the correct answer here. Specific means, are they existing goods, or specific goods, or future goods, or specific goods or contingent goods? Tell me what is the correct answer. Existing goods. Sir, existing goods, suppose they are unascertained goods, whether this rule is applicable? No. Section 20 says, goods are specific, they are in deliverable state, and it is an unconditional contract of sale. Then, at the time of making the contract, ownership is transferred from the seller to the buyer. So, just tell me, what are the points that you have to remember? What is the number of the section? 20. What does it deal with? Transfer of ownership in respect of, at the time of making the contract. If the goods are specific in nature. If the goods are in deliverable state, if the contract is an unconditional one, then we say at the time of making the contract, the ownership is transferred from, invariably say, normally speaking, from the seller to the buyer. From the seller to the buyer, goods are specific, deliverable state, contract is unconditional. So at the time of making the contract, as per section 20 of the Sale of Goods Act, 1932, am I right? 1930, you are right. It is not 1932, it is section 19, sorry, it is 1930, Sale of Goods Act 1930. At the time of making the contract, ownership is transferred. Now I can just give you a specific example. Some bales of cotton or yarn in order to make the clothes, you require yarn, noolidai you call it. You require yarn to make clothes. Now, we have got some bales of, say, 150 bales of yarn in a godown. There are many bales. If we specify, okay, 150 bales are there, before the goods are identified, for example, X needs 40 bales of yarn.